द क्विंट हिंदी, द क्विंट इंग्लिश और ब्लूमबर्ग क्विंट पर राजपथ में एक बार फिर पूर्व वित्त मंत्री पी चिदम्बरम साहब के साथ हमारी बातचीत एक ऐसे मौके पर जबकि पॉलिटिक्स और चुनाव के आसपास आते हुए ये समझ में नहीं आ रहा कि सरकार क्या कर रही है, क्या करना चाहती है और किन परेशानियों में फंसी हुई है और कैसे उसके रिएक्शन आ रहे हैं। सर, आपने हमारे लिए वक्त निकाला, आपका बहुत शुक्रिया। पहला सवाल तो यही है कि रुपया 75, क्रूड 90 के आसपास, करंट अकाउंट डेफिसिट का बुरा हाल, ऐसे में बोरोइंग को कट डाउन करने की कोशिश और फिर ये कह रहे हैं कि सीएडी को मैनेज करने के लिए कुछ नॉन एसेंशियल इंपोर्ट्स हम बंद कर देंगे तो मैजिक हो जाएगा, करिश्मा हो जाएगा, कमाल हो जाएगा। तो सबसे पहले सर, मैक्रो मैनेजमेंट ऑफ इकोनॉमी पर आपके थॉट्स।
The macro economy is in very poor shape today. That's because the current government missed a huge opportunity when crude oil was down to $40 a barrel and didn't cross $50 for nearly 2.5, 3 years. That was the time to fix the roof. It's only when the sun shines you can fix the roof of the house. They missed that. And now they don't know how to manage. Crude oil is close to $80+. They don't know how to manage. By way of contrast, we managed it when crude oil was averaging $105 a barrel and it shot up to $147 a barrel. Net result is, current account deficit is out of control. It will surely cross 2.5, maybe 2.8, maybe even touch 3%. Your fiscal deficit is under pressure. It'll be lucky if they can contain it at 3.3. They may slip. Your rupee is the worst performing currency in 2018, depreciated by 18%. Your market today is at the same level as it was on December 29, 2017. The entire gains made in 2018 has been wiped out as of yesterday. Interest rates are rising, which means EMIs will rise, cost of borrowing will rise. Banks are flush with deposits, but there are no takers for credit. Credit growth is low. Foreign portfolio investors are pulling out their money. Now, all this shows that the government seems to be overwhelmed by the events and they don't know how to manage it.
Maybe they know, but they are not bothered. They don't think it electorally translates into anything negative for them.
I don't agree. In electoral terms, this will affect every section. I'll tell you how. There are no jobs for young people. Women are no longer participating in the workforce because there are no jobs. Women are withdrawing from the workforce. SMEs are in very bad shape. Micro, small, medium enterprises provide for 90% of the jobs in this country. They are in very bad shape. Exporters are in very dire straits. Their money is tied up in the GST refunds. They're not getting refunds. So if an economy that is buffeted by all these macroeconomic negatives will not please any section of the people, the youth, the women, the SMEs, the exporters, not to speak of the farmers who are in revolt, no section of the people is happy. They may not relate it to any particular macroeconomic indicator, but they are not happy. Mm-hmm. And that means they will show their anger, they'll show their resentment in the polls.
Okay. Another recent story that is now bothering the markets is IL&FS related, and then the resulting crisis of confidence in the credit markets. How do you see that? Because one can argue that IL&FS government has nothing to do with. How is it handling currently?
No, that's not correct. You can't say I have nothing to do with it. IL&FS is a systemically important NBFC. Its oversight is vested with the Reserve Bank of India. On the Reserve Bank's board, government has its representatives. You have to keep an eye on NBFCs and you have to ensure that NBFCs are healthy. When we left the government, IL&FS was healthy. And today, if IL&FS is virtually sinking, it is because of poor oversight, poor regulatory supervision and by the government and the RBI together. So you can't wish it away by saying it's a private company. If it's a private company with which government has nothing to do, why are you bailing it out through LIC? Remember, LIC has a 23% equity in IL&FS. Government has got its persons on the board of LIC.
Yes.
So you should have looked at LIC's portfolio. Government has got persons on the RBI board. You should have looked at it from the RBI. I mean, you sit on these boards and say, I have nothing to do with IL&FS. That is unacceptable.
Okay. So now, government has constituted a new board. Problem is solved. We don't have to arrange liquidity to give confidence to the markets and we are fine by changing the board.
No. Changing the board does not mean that Mr. Uday Kotak is going to bring in money. He is only a non-executive chairman. The point is, IL&FS faces a severe liquidity crisis. I don't know if the liquidity crisis will become an insolvency crisis. I hope not. Now, LIC has to bail out IL&FS. NHAI, as I read the reports, is trying to bail out IL&FS. Now, whose money is LIC's money? Whose money is NHAI's money? It's people's money. It's public money.
Sir,
policy holders have got money in LIC and tax money and government revenues are going into NHAI. If you want to bail out with public money, then you are accountable to say, why did you allow this to happen and why are you using public money to bail out IL&FS?
Very right. I can argue that LIC, every government misuses, sir.
Show me one case where LIC was asked to bail out a sinking company under UPA of Dr. Manmohan Singh. Yes, LIC is a major investor. When the market is a bit volatile, LIC enters the market to buy some shares and sell some shares. LIC makes its profits mainly by equity investments and trading in the equity, selling out at the right time. But show me one case where we had asked LIC to bail out a bank like IDBI or an NBFC like IL&FS. Both have happened under the NDA government.
Is there something to really be worried about LIC, or there is some murmur that the way it is being used, misused, abused, whatever you want to call it, there could be some serious implications. Is it just theoretical criticism or is there a real worry?
Well, I don't know unless I look at the figures more closely. All I know is LIC's equity portfolio has diminished because of the fall in the market. But that could be simply a reflection of the market. When the market rises again, the portfolio may rise. But I think one should ask LIC, how good has your asset management been? How good has your equity investment choices have been? See, one of the managing directors is usually in charge of the equity portfolio. So I think it's worthwhile to ask the question in the LIC board, how good has it been?
Right. On oil, finally under heavy criticism, government decided to reduce the price.
But that's come back more or less. 20 paise, 30 paise, more or less what they reduced has more or less come back.
But the method that it chose to reduce the price by burdening the OMCs, was it a good idea?
But what choice did the government have? It should have cut 2 rupees 50 paisa straight away.
They could have given from their own kitty. They could have foregone excess.
They are now foregoing 1 rupee 50 paisa and asking the oil companies to bear 1 rupee. Well, we had a formula by which 1/3 of the subsidy burden will be borne by oil companies, 1/3 by government and 1/3 by the consumer.
Right.
The BJP criticized us for that. If that was wrong, then what are you doing today? See, you must have a policy that is adaptable, that is flexible. You don't have a policy.
Sir, what is the key problem with this government in managing the economic side of governance?
Incompetence. You don't have enough economists or economic experts in the government. They don't have a CEA. They got rid of the only economist in the government, Dr. Arvind Subramaniam. They got rid of Dr. Raghuram Rajan when he was willing to stay on. They don't have any economist of international repute in the so-called Prime Minister's Economic Advisory Council. They don't have anyone in the Planning Commission who's an economist of international repute. Please contrast this with what the UPA did. At any given time, although Dr. Manmohan Singh himself was an internationally renowned economist, we had in the system at least half a dozen internationally reputed economists.
True.
We had Dr. Raghuram Rajan, we had Dr. Rangarajan, we had Dr. Govind Rao, we had Montek Singh Ahluwalia, we had Bimal Jalan.
But then we are told, sir, ये Harvard से नहीं होता है, hard work से होता है.
Well, the result of their hard work is that next month if you pay your EMI, you have to pay more. Right. Where is the hard work?
Right. Sir, another thing I want to understand from you, अब election बिल्कुल सामने है. Government is absolutely possessive about collecting more and more revenue. After state polls, there will be a situation where government will have to take a call. How much money to put in the pockets of the citizen, consumer, oblique voter? Are you expecting some major pumping of public money soon after the state polls?
Where is the money? They've rolled out this Ayushman Bharat, the insurance-driven medical insurance scheme. There's no money for that.
What is the figure? We don't know.
They've only got 2,000 crore allotted so far. Where is the money for the Ayushman Bharat?
So 2,000 crore can service, say, not more than 1 lakh patients?
I don't know how much it, 2,000 crore is 20,000, 2 lakhs. 1 lakh patient will be what? 2 lakh per
Assuming
patient.
2 lakh per
2
patient.
lakh per patient. It can service 1 lakh patients. They are saying we are going to cover some
10 crore families.
50 crore people.
Yep.
What are we talking about? 50 crore and the number you're giving.
So, just to help me understand that I have covered 50 crore individuals, 10 crore families. I have 2,000 crore rupees, which with average 2 lakh rupees, 1 lakh rupees per patient, if that is the average outgo, they will be able to service only 1 lakh people, or 1 lakh rupees, 2 lakh people.
Yeah. 1 lakh people, 2 lakh people. But they said 50 crore. So, see, the point is, the scheme has been so designed that unless there is a hospital which has that treatment within 30, 40, 50 kilometers,
right,
how is anyone going to go to the hospital?
Correct.
He is simply going to stay in his village and suffer.
Correct.
First of all, you must have the hospitals. The hospital must be enrolled. It must be equipped to provide that treatment. Only then somebody will go. See, you can create a demand, but if there is no supply, how will the demand be met? You will simply say, sorry, I have no hospital here, I stay home and suffer. See, this is a jumla. To cover 50 crore people, you require several thousand crore, you require preparatory work,
right,
you require to have enrolled thousands of hospitals, private and public, and made sure that they have the equipment, the machines, the treatment, and the doctors there. It's not as though every hospital can provide the treatment that you are covering. This is clearly a jumla like many other jumlas.
Right. Sir, the other topic I want to touch upon is this Rafale deal.
Yes.
Now, government yesterday came out with a list that in UPA's last 7 years, the government gave a business of 1 lakh crore rupees to Mr. Anil Ambani.
So what? Government did not give anything. They must have bid for contracts, road contracts, power companies, whatever, and got those contracts. Point is,
so he was your favorite guy also.
Nobody was our favorite. Nobody was our favorite. We have no problem about private companies doing business in this country. That's not the issue. The issue is very different in Rafale. I've asked 10 questions. I said I can ask more. I won't ask 10 to you. I'll pick out 3 questions. First, you must tell me, why was the earlier MOU cancelled? See, if you are living in a house, you're looking for another house. Before vacating the old house, you will have a reason. Na? The house is leaking. The house is not in a proper neighborhood. There is too much dirt in the neighborhood. Some reason there must be before you vacate your existing house and go to a new house. So why did you cancel the earlier MOU for 126 aircraft? There has been no answer. Number 2. All right, you decided to cancel it. Why are you buying only 36 aircraft? Your case is the Air Force requires 7 squadrons, 126 aircraft. Dassault is willing to sell 126 aircraft. You say the price is cheaper by 9% to 20%. If the price is cheaper, the seller is willing to sell you 126 aircraft. Why are you buying only 36 aircraft? No answer. And the third question is, HAL had a work share agreement with Dassault. Dassault can choose its offset partner. I'll accept it for the sake of argument. Did you tell Dassault, listen, you can choose your offset partner, but here is HAL, my company, a good company, 70 years of experience. It has experience building Sukhoi, Mirage, MiGs, and now its own Tejas. Why don't you try HAL? You already have a work share agreement. Give it part or whole of the offset contract. Why did you not tell Dassault, please consider HAL? Why did Dassault ditch HAL and choose a private sector partner? There is no answer. The most obvious question is, the defense minister says, I have no information that Dassault and the private sector company have entered into an agreement. On the same day, the French defense minister, Ms. Florence Parly, met the Indian defense minister. On the same evening, she flies to Nagpur, lays the foundation stone at a meeting attended, at a function attended by Mr. Gadkari, Mr. Fadnavis, the French ambassador to India, the chairman of Dassault, and she. Photographs are all over the place. So how can the defense minister of India say, I know nothing about it?
Okay. Sir, allow me to say this. The way you are articulating, or opposition parties, Congress are trying to articulate this, there is something, but it is not sticking and clinching among the mass opinion.
Well, it's too early.
So what is the charge? What is the charge?
The charge is that 30,000 crore of business, which must come to India through the offset, no part of it went to HAL, and no part of it is going to HAL, a public sector concern.
So
it is going into a private sector company's hands. Question is, did the government have a role to play?
So what is wrong with it? Where is the objectionable part?
The wrong is the latest revelation. The latest revelation by Mediapart, French magazine, which says, a Dassault internal note says, it was imperative and mandatory for us to choose the private sector partner as compensation for entering into this aircraft deal. Right. What is the meaning of the word compensation?
Right.
What is the compensation there? Somebody has to give a meaning to the word compensation, isn't it? It's become the most intriguing word in the last 2 days, compensation.
So as a opposition party, what are you going to do about this issue?
Well, the party has taken it to the CNAG. The party has taken it to the CVC. I think Mr. Arun Shauri and Mr. Prashant Bhushan have taken it to the CBI. Let us see whether these independent agencies...
How do we interpret the Supreme Court directive that we will not ask about price and strategic security details, we will ask about the procedure? I can interpret this as a relief to the government. I will tell you the procedure.
We are not asking about the price either. If you have paid a good price, so be it. All that we are asking is, please explain why the price went up 3 times. Agreed. Why can't you explain that?
But what about Supreme Court position?
Supreme Court has limited jurisdiction. Supreme Court is a judicial review. It is not a super parliament or a super executive. But as public, we are entitled to ask more questions than the Supreme Court can ask. And you are supposed to answer the Supreme Court for whatever questions the Supreme Court asks, but you are also obliged to answer the public for whatever questions the public asks.
Right.
Nobody is saying Rafale is a bad aircraft. The UPA chose the aircraft as a good aircraft. But tell us, why did the price go up 3 times? And why are you buying only 36? I mean, why? That is a simple question which even a school student will understand. If today you go to a shop yesterday, the guy tells you a price. You go back today, he said, I'll give you 100 units, this is the price. You go back today, he says, I'm reducing the price by 9%. Will you buy all 100 or will you buy only 30?
Right.
You'll buy all the 100 you want, isn't it? Why are you not buying 126 aircraft? The Air Force requires 126 aircraft. In fact, I charge the government, you're compromising the security of this country by not buying 126 aircraft.
Right. Sir, the other issue involves us. So, due disclaimer is that I work with the Quint, which is owned by Mr. Raghav Bahal, founder of Network 18. So, Mr. Raghav Bahal, his premises, his residence, and the Quint office and some other premises were raided yesterday by income tax. You, as former finance minister, know much better than us that how CBI, income tax, ED are used and deployed for various purposes. Of course, the good news is that the agencies have not been able to really, despite their best possible roving and fishing exercise, been able to get anything out of this action. But many of us see this as a direct assault on independent journalism. Government will always see us as a dissenter or having some agenda. I really want you to be absolutely neutral and partial and comment on this issue.
See, if income tax has reason to believe there is evasion of income tax or capital gains, they can take action. The best I've seen in today's papers is they suspect that there is some capital gains on which tax has not been paid. So what? Issue a notice, call for the books of account, examine the documents, and if there is a capital gain, levy a tax. Where is the need to send an army of people with police protection to go and search a place? What are you searching? You issue a notice, people will produce the documents, they are bound to produce the document. I can't imagine for a capital gains, alleged capital gains non-payment, you will mount such a major operation. Quite clearly, we are all convinced that it is because of the position Quint is taking. After demonetization, you became very critical of the government. You've been critical of the government in the GST implementation. You've been critical of the government in its rolling out programs without funding the programs. So you are a major critic of the government today, and you have a large readership online. Likewise, there are 1 or 2 other online news agencies which have got large readership, and this is government's way of sending a message: behave or. But that's how this government has been behaving. How many editors have been sacked at the instance of this government? Magazine editors, newspaper editors have all been sacked at the instance of the government. Fearless journalists are today finding it difficult to get any of their programs on TV because the government has got a blacklist which circulates among the TV channels. We all know the names. This government suppresses dissent. Why? It is an authoritarian government. It is a majoritarian government, and it believes that every dissent must be suppressed.
How is mainstream media, the perceived mainstream media, that they are conducting themselves in such an environment?
It is a sad story. It is a sad story. The so-called leading mainstream outlets have practically...
They are believing that Congress party is still in the government.
How is the Congress party in the government? How is...
They are only questioning Congress party all the time.
It's sad. That's all I can say now. But people are watching, people are reading. They know when you get a biased opinion, when you get a biased editorial, when you get a biased headline, you know this is at the instance of the government. See, when mainstream media, television and print, starts publishing handouts, notice written by the department or the agency, and you print it as news, that's the day when media has sunk to its low. Correct. If the department, any department, power department, rural development, agriculture, or any agency, CBI, ED, income tax, gives you a handout and you publish it as if it is news without critically questioning the statements in the handout, that is a sad day for the media.
Right. Sir, as you explained about income tax department, that they should have reason to believe, and then they should be very careful in deciding where to use the search and seizure power. Do you think, in fact your government could have also looked at it, that Income Tax Act needs some changes where, especially in the cases of media houses, you have other means to get that same information which are also publicly available in public domain, not to use the tools like raids against media houses. You have other tools through which you can get the information. This is extreme case of misuse of such tools, and Act needs to be amended.
Of course, this is tax terrorism. What this government has done is, in the last 4 years, given enormous powers to officers of the income tax and other agencies, even at the level of, say, assistant commissioner. Now, that was not the position before. You empower every officer to issue notices, to file complaints, to issue summons, to issue arrest warrants, to search. I mean, this is tax terrorism, which is why people are not willing to do business in India. They're quite happy to do business abroad. Where is the investment in India? I mean, that is the sad story of India's economy. Where is the private sector investment? The fact that private sector investment is down in the dumps shows that people have no confidence that they will be treated fairly. Take, for example, yesterday I saw that the Competition Commission of India has done searches in 3 or 4 companies. Now, if every organization begins to do searches, raids, what is going on? Issue notices, summon documents, examine. Search cannot be the first step which an organization will do, which an investigating agency will do. You're converting every agency into a police organization.
Absolutely. So, in terms of giving a historic perspective to this whole business of using agencies to stay in power, silent the opposition, the critics, the dissenters, the critical media, does it work? Sometimes it works.
It works to put fear in people's minds, and then they will be tamed. They will start behaving in a timid way. But that's a blow to democracy. It diminishes our status as a liberal democracy. But people are watching. I don't think people are not watching. You see, when it comes to an organization like Quint, the instrument of suppression is searches, notices, summonses. When it comes to poor people, it is lynching. It is stopping a truck carrying cows and lynching the person.
Encounters.
When it comes to, let's assume anti-social element. You have to arrest the person. When it comes to so-called anti-social elements, the instrument of suppression is encounter. I've killed him.
Are you worried that to some level the desensitization about this new normal is also taking
Yes.
some roots.
Yes, this new normal is unacceptable. We have to reject this new normal. This is not normal. This is abnormal.
And
people
those-
must understand this is abnormal.
And sir, my last question. Those who have to reject and fight against this, are they, that is opposition space, not lacking in the comprehension and energy and counter strategy to fight such a threat?
No, we are fighting. Farmers are fighting. Farmers are fighting.
Of course, yes, but
The
political parties.
Political parties are involved in the farmers' fight. You can't deny that. Young people are fighting. University students are fighting. Minorities are very fearful today, so they are resenting but not being able to fight. The Dalits are fighting in some places. The Dalits are fighting. You watch now, as the elections come closer, more and more people will join the fight. You see, it doesn't matter who's in government. Parties will come, parties will go. But we need a state which is not an authoritarian state. We don't need a fascist state. We don't need a state which always carries a danda and tries to beat down anybody who raises a voice of dissent. I mean, that kind of a state is unacceptable. Whether it's a Congress party forming the government or the BJP forming the government or any other state party forming the government, we shouldn't have a danda-wielding state.
Right. But sir, last question is this, that every political party is saying that democracy is in danger, but we will not form an alliance. I want this seat, that seat. I will lose, but I will not leave this seat.
Well, that's part of the bargaining. Eventually, you will find that alliances will be formed.
Are you sure?
Yes, not in all the states for the
In
state
UP?
election. I think it will be formed. UP is only parliament election now. You see, most states alliances will be formed. I think an alliance will be formed in Tamil Nadu. An alliance will be formed in Telangana, of the 5 states. And I think an alliance will be formed in 1 or 2 other states.
What about Andhra Pradesh?
Andhra Pradesh is not going to election now. Only Telangana is going to election.
But Lok Sabha election?
Lok Sabha election, you will find that more alliances are formed. I'm not speaking about state A or state B. More alliances will be formed in the Lok Sabha election because the clear choice is between BJP-led government and Congress-led government. That's a clear choice.
The only puzzle that needs to be solved is UP. Will SP, BSP, Congress form an alliance?
Well, I think so. I earnestly hope so.
Why about the hope about Mayawati ji is reducing?
No, not in my mind. She may have some calculation for the state election. She may have a different calculation for the parliament election. She may be wanting to test the waters in the state election. I don't know. I have not met her. I have not spoken to her. I'm only speculating. But I think everybody realizes, and mark my word, everybody realizes that the parliament election is a fight between BJP and the non-BJP parties.
Right.
So the non-BJP parties must come together, and I am confident and I hope that they will come together.
Sir, thank you very much.
You.
As always, it is wonderful to get your insights. Thank you so much.
Thank you.